you don't just let go of someone, you reprogram how your brain actually bonds with them. And this is why you have to always understand. When I stopped looking at things so physically, I started to understand it more from a scientific perspective. I realized this really makes sense. Like, this is it. Like, if I needed a blueprint to let go of somebody, this would be it. This is your blueprint. But in today's video, I thought I will touch on the art of letting go without spiraling, without losing yourself, especially if you've been in a situationship, especially if you've been in a kind of situation. Let's say you've come out of a relationship, or you were in a situation with somebody whereby they were close enough to give you a bit of hope, but distant enough to make you feel like a bit confused, and you weren't really sure where you were going, whether you were coming or going. You wasn't sure, and you want the relationship, but you know they're not good for you because you're always finding yourself either asking for the bare minimum. You're wanting them to be there in ways that you know you want and deserve to be loved, but for some reason, because it might have been a short time, it might have been the relationship might have been for a while now, and you're not sure how to let go. Because when you feel like you're taking 2 steps forward, sometimes it feels like you're taking 5 steps back, because you either miss them, you miss the connection that you shared, you miss the desire. You have this image of how you felt like you wanted you guys to be, but you don't know where to go. You know you want to let go, but you don't know where to start. Then if this sounds like you, babe, then this video is for you. All right. So if you're new here, thank you. Thanks for joining. I don't know if you saw me on TikTok or if you came across me on socials. Let me know in the comments where you came across this video. So feel free to grab a notebook and pen. My cup of tea, of course. I drink hot water. Don't judge me, guys, but it's a comfort that comes with drinking hot water that I love. So yeah, I'm drinking hot water. Grab a cup of tea, because we're about to get into the details. There's going to be many segments to this, and if you haven't yet subscribed, please press the subscribe button, press the notification bell as well, so you are notified whenever I post. I will be doing segments of this. In today's series, we're going to be touching. It's going to be the weekly series, and today we're going to be touching on how to let go without spiraling and the power of emotional detachment, and how you can actually do it properly. I am going to be giving you the step-by-steps process, the rebunking. Is it rebunking? What is the term? Basically, anything that you've seen or heard on social media that tells you go no contact, do this, do that, it works, but I need you to understand why it works, and I need you to understand how you can do it differently so that it works. Okay, so stay with me now. So I've taken notes on my laptop just so that I don't go off on a tangent, because I tend to. If you know me and you've come across a lot of my videos, you would know that sis loves to talk. I write paragraphs rather than little. So I just want to make sure that everything that I say is articulated well, and please make sure you stay to the end, because I have a little surprise for you guys that I think will help you as well in letting go. So stay with me now. So as you know, the hardest part of letting go is always loss, right? It's always lost because it's like, I don't want to lose this person. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been in this position in the past whereby, specifically my past relationships, right? I didn't want to let go of my significant other at the time, because it felt like I'd put my all into it. I was like, I don't want to know that everything that I've asked of you, the things that you've changed, the things that I've shared that you might not have changed, I don't want to know that you're now giving it to somebody else. The thought of them moving on with someone else killed me inside. Like, it literally killed me inside. And do you know what that is? That's self-sabotage, not for them, but for you, hon. I say this because a lot of times what we do is we start to think about the familiar, we start to romanticize them by thinking about what good felt like at the very early stages of us dating, right? You know, the honeymoon stage. And then the present reality we're not living in. We're thinking of the past and trying to predict the future. You're not here in the moment. You're not here right now. And this is the first step, right? And if you ever need to let go, I need you to write down every single thing that is happening right now in this very moment. I say this because, like I said, you're romanticizing the past and you're trying to predict the future without recognizing how toxic the situation may be. And let's say it isn't toxic, but you know you deserve better than this, hon. You know that the guy that you know is the best person for you will not be treating you this way. I promise you. And the best way that I like to put it is, imagine you have a child or you have a best friend and they came to you the same level of advice and told you, hon, this is what's happening. I'm dealing with somebody that is treating me this way. What advice would you give them, right? If you knew the ins and outs of the things, small intricacies of everything that they're experiencing. what advice would you give them? This is advice I need you to start honing on and believing in yourself, because you deserve better, right? And the more you settle for this, what you're doing is you're training your brain that it's okay to accept breadcrumbs. You see, our brains are valuable, and I think I always talk about this. My neuroplasticity and neurology is my bread and butter. So I live by, it's my rules, my rule book. Everything that I talk on, I want to make sure that it applies with science, right? So we got our neural pathways, and these are shaped by our reality and the things that we condition ourselves. So based upon the things that we consume, right? So when we talk about affirmations and telling yourself, I am worthy, I am this, you need to understand how powerful it is. It might not feel like it in the moment when you're telling yourself, I love myself, I am worthy. But you have to repeat it, because anything repeated becomes ingrained within your neural system, right? So anything you tell yourself all the time, you start to believe. Anything, whether it's anything you're consuming. So this is why I'm so mindful. You know, when people tell you the power of the tongue, watch the power of the tongue is essentially science. Anything that you tell yourself, you start to believe like it's reality. You put yourself in positions where people mistreat you, you're going to start to believe that it's okay to accept this kind of behavior. But what you need to do is do the opposite, right? Stay with me now. Do the opposite. And this starts by holding yourself in high regard. You might not feel like it right now, but I promise you, the more you start saying no to the bare minimum, the more you naturally will start to ooze this self-esteem and assurance in your sense of self, where you're going to be walking into rooms and places where you're going to look at people that come to you. They're going to be either deterred or drawn in according to the energy that you emit at the time. And it's all energy, babe. So let's say you walk into a room, right, and you have this longing for love. It's going to ooze out of you, because people are going to prey on you as a result. So let's say you walk into a room, you are so desperate to be loved. Automatically what you're going to do is you're going to feel like it's okay to diminish yourself. You're going to feel like it's all right to just, accept the bare minimum, because when you're desperate, you're going to accept anything. Let's say you're hungry, right? You haven't eaten in days. Naturally, you're going to be, someone's going to give you a croissant, someone's going to give you a burger, someone's going to even give you the things that you don't even love or enjoy. You're going to eat it. Why? Because you're starving. The same applies with love, right? If you're desperate for it, you're going to accept anything. Any Tom, Dick or Harry, excuse my French, that comes along your way, you're going to be accepting them. But this is why I need you to hold yourself in high regard, because in doing so, even anyone that is currently within your remit has to go, right? So the first step is, a lot of what I've shared, if you followed, write them down. But like I said, there's a surprise I have for you guys at the end that will be able to have everything that I've articulated in today's video. In addition to that, I need you to start holding yourself in high regard. What this means is you take inventory of every person in your life right now and ask yourself, right, how are they applying to me right now? What are the things that I am happy with and the things that I'm not so happy with? And then you write down everything that you're currently experiencing, because the key is to live in this current present moment rather than the past, the future. No, none of that. That doesn't serve you. The past only gives you depression and the future only gives you anxiety, right? Because you're not thinking right. You're living in your head, which isn't reality, right? And the thing is, again, going back to neuroscience, when you think about things in your head, they're not living in your reality. But do you know what our bodies start to do? Our bodies start to react as if it's happening to us in this very moment. I'll give you an exercise or an activity that you can do right now, or later on after the video, as and when you wish. Think about how you're feeling, right? Think about, at the time, something in the past that has happened that's really irks you, right? Close your eyes and think about it. How does your body feel? Something that's really made you so angry. I promise you're going to start to feel like irritated, yeah, right? And this is what it is, right? So anytime you start to think of the past, you live in that. You romanticize an illusion, because that's all it is. It's an illusion. It's the feeling of wanting to be loved rather than love itself. And this is where you need to differentiate the two, right? And then when you think of the future, the same applies. Think you're feeling as if you are there, but you're not there. And this is what you need to remind yourself of. Anything that you're scared of, being it letting go, it's because you are scared of the reality of losing this person, because you've built up an illusion that they are right for you, when you deep down inside of you know they're not. Because if they were right for you, you wouldn't have to compromise, you wouldn't have to negotiate, you wouldn't have to tell them to treat you right. Anyone that needs convincing to be a certain type of way is not your person, babe. And I know it's a hard pill to swallow, because trust me, I've been there. I have been there, and I've had my fair shares of pleading, begging, compromising, trying to mold myself to fit someone else's version of who they think I am. And it never ended well, because what you're doing is you're preventing the inevitable from happening. You're preventing yourself from experiencing real love, right? But it starts from actually being yourself. You're never going to be happy in the arms of somebody who expects you to be different. And the thing is, sometimes we think the expectation is that we should be different, but we have held them in high regard and put ourselves beneath them because we think that they're here. So we've trained ourselves to be different, to kind of like accept love from them. But the deeper issue is, why don't you accept love from you, babe? That's the question. Why do I hold on to something that I know that deep down I'm not happy with? Because it's the deeper issue. It's an abandonment wound that we need to kind of start to unpack. Again, we're gonna go through this for the various series I go through, so stay with me. So I want to touch on why your brain won't let you move on. But see it like this, right? When we talk about emotional healing, right? When we talk about healing, social media paints it like it's this rose color. We've got these rose-colored glasses. It's the self-care, get your nails did, pampering. That is self-love, baby. But that is not self-healing, right? There's a two. We need to try and make sure that we're differentiating the two. Healing is essentially like, let's say you cut yourself or you've experienced some kind of wound, right? Where there's a cut. Let's say you fell down, there's a cut. Automatically, in order to heal, we can't now just start putting some moisturizer on top of this. We can't start putting some glitter on top of this to make this look pretty. We can't do that. That does not heal the wound. So when people talk about getting their nails done, hair did and everything did, that is masking the presence of healing. That isn't healing in itself. Healing means that we need to let this scab now grow over the cut, right? But we need to allow the process to happen, and the process doesn't happen overnight. The process takes time. The process takes time, and it needs seeing to, because a lot of times we think we just need to put a bandage over it. No, sometimes firstly, before, we need to clean out that cut, right? We need to clean out that cut. We need to observe. We need to look at that cut and think, what else needs tending to with this cut? Let me allow it time. Let me clean it out. Let me give it room to breathe, right? Space. Let's take off that bandage. The bandage was there because it was bleeding at the beginning, yes, but now it's time to take off that bandage. Let's have a look at it. Let's clean the cut. And then with time, it's going to start to, you're going to see that the area around it is going to start to close in. And then there's going to be like a harder shell that's going to build up around that scab, right? That outer shell, that hard shell that you tend to see on a scab, that is that self-protection, right? To make sure any bacteria does not go inside and so forth. And eventually that scab's going to fall off, right? And then there's going to be like a layer that has kind of enclosed that initial wound that was there. It's a soft layer. It's not as strong as the surface is around it right now, but it's still very much there. It's protecting the internal wound. And with time, that's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. That is essentially you, baby, right? So anytime you're letting go, remind yourself of this. Time means the time that you needed to heal this means it's your grace now that you're allowing to give yourself in this moment in time. Understand that you are important. Like, you're the most important person in your life right now, baby. And no person that loves you will be putting you through these predicaments. So see it as that. See that your healing or your wound now needs tending to. And that is that wound that I've just mentioned, right? See it like that. And with that, what you're going to do is we're going to start working through these little steps I'm going to give you right now in this moment. I know we're 13 minutes in, so stay with me. I'm going to try not to make this video too long, but please make sure you watch it till the end. When you are healing, this is happening not physically, but neurologically, right? So we've got dopamine. I'm sure you've all heard of dopamine. This is what we experience when we have those highs, when we're eating food, when we're having a good time on a night out, when we're entertaining relationships, right? This is an addiction to hope. That's what I like to call it. Because if you've ever wondered why the situation hurt more than the actual relationship, it's because your brain wasn't attaching to them. Your brain was attached to the anticipation of gaining that person. You know, when I mentioned earlier, that feeling, see it like you're on a horizon. There's this tree that looks so beautiful, right? But it's not the idea of the tree that draws you in. It's the being there that draws you in. That's the anticipation, limerence essentially, right? So that on and off dynamic, that hot and cold, push-pull dynamic that you've got going on, where 1 minute they're there, the next they're gone. Those are the mixed signals that they're giving you, and that's what's keeping you anticipated. And that's what dopamine is. Dopamine doesn't respond to love. What it does respond to is unpredictability, because it's the person being there on and off, hot and cold. That's why casinos make money, right? The biggest addicts to gambling make money because they focus on what? That quick win. That quick win. It doesn't matter how many times they've lost. It's that feeling of that quick win. That's that high that you get. And it's the same high that you get when someone that's hot and cold comes back in hot and then they retreat. Because every time they come back in, that's your win. And that's the win that you're always craving, right? It's why people stay in toxic cycles, because your brain got high off the idea of that maybe, just maybe, they'll come back a little bit different, right? And then we've got oxytocin and we've got vasopressin. This is that bonding trap, right? Every deep convo that you guys have, every moment of intimacy, every time they told you, like, I really care about you, they threw you into keeping holding on. Every time they miss you, they send you something. You're like, oh, are they talking about me? Could they be talking about me? Every time they're like, fold, because sometimes it's not just you folding, sometimes they're reaching out too. That's what keeps you holding on. They're not just words, right? Your brain was chemically bonding to them, and this is what happens. And this is another reason why oxytocin makes us feel connected, right? Even when logically you shouldn't be. I've been there. You're still holding on to that hope, even when it's destroying you, babe. So when you let go, it's not just an emotional thing. What you're doing is you're experiencing a physical withdrawal. Your brain doesn't know the difference, like I said, between memory and reality. That's exactly what it is, neuroplasticity. Your brain does not know how to differentiate fact on feeling, memory from reality. If you keep revisiting old convos, like the time they made you feel good, the time where they really love bombed you at the beginning and you felt like this was my person, this is the one, you're rereading messages, you're looking at their page, you're looking at old pictures, you're strengthening that neurological pathway that keeps you stuck. Every time you let a memory play in your head, your body relives it. And this is why no contact is so painful for you right now. It's not just messing with them, your brain is grieving its own wiring, right? And here's how to train your brain to detach, right? I wanted to explain that first bit so that we can get into this, because there's no point getting into this if you don't understand the reasons being, because it's basically like trying to, I don't know, sorry, I got a dying plant right in front of me right now. And my kids were like, let's just try and, let's just get rid of it and get a new one. And I was like, no, we need to actually understand why it's dying, because there's no point getting a new one, we're going to kill it again. And it's the same with this. There's no point you understand doing the doing without understanding why the doing works, right? What you need to do, remember, like I said, is the dopamine hit.
Dopamine is the molecule of motivation, pursuit, and desire. And it can be triggered by a number of different things. However, it is a non-infinite yet renewable resource. So if you have too big a dopamine release, let's say from methamphetamine, cocaine.
Damn, we're going there.
We're going there. Or,
okay.
or let's say, to be fair, because I know people, or from being in a lot of gunfights in a short period of time. The period immediately after that will involve a mirror symmetric decrease in dopamine. You don't go back down to baseline, you go below baseline. So we all should guard our dopamine peaks very carefully. A little bit goes a long way, a lot goes even further, but it also takes you down deeper afterwards. This is the basis of addiction.
That kind of like a gambler. We need to starve that dopamine loop. Your brain thrives on expectations. That's why you feel tempted to check their page, because you want to send that last message. You want to be seen. You want to feel like, okay, maybe this time we'll get it right. But every time you do that, you're reinforcing a craving. You're keeping the addiction alive, right? So what I need you to do, what I really need you to do, I don't know if I told you, get a notebook and a pen. I need you to mute them. Archive the chats, block if necessary. You're not doing this to be petty, hon. You're doing it because your nervous system needs peace. Right? We need to focus on the bare minimum basics first. So we need the peace, the blocking, the archiving chats, the deleting messages, pictures if you need to. I've done all that in the past. And people will be like, so you're actually extreme. And extremities are what keep me at peace. What you're going to start doing now, because of the dopamine, you're going to start redirecting it. What this means is your brain needs new things to feel anticipation. Like I said, dopamine comes from different hits. It's not just the love. The love is like one of the strongest ones, but you can experience dopamine from other things. So what you're going to start doing is a process called micro-rewarding. What you're doing is you're giving yourself the chance to experience new things. So you know that saying where to get over someone, you need to get under someone else? The reason why this works, even though I don't agree with this, is because that's another dopamine hit. and then the cycle applies, which is why I don't agree with this. But you're going to get yourself through doing different micro rewarding things like travel, make spontaneous plans, even switching up your environment. Don't just let go of someone. You have to reprogram your mind. And this video is giving you the blueprint. This is all you ever need. If you're missing intimacy, you have to replace it with deep self-connection. But what I mean by this is that you need to start talking to yourself out loud. I do it too, and I might seem crazy to some, right? Your brain registers your own voice as comfort. That's why you might not realize it, but every time you talk to yourself, you are self-soothing because your brain registers your voice as familiar, right? Physical movements, especially if you are strength training, I promise you this is going to be your bread and butter. Strength training, going to the gym, I'm not too sure about Pilates, but you could do it. Move your body, go for that 5K run, increase it, challenge yourself, because this is another hit of dopamine. Every time you start spiraling, I need you to parent yourself. And what I mean by this is just, you need to look at yourself in the way you wish they did. See, when we're caught up with these anxious attachment styles and codependent relationships, we often look to our partners to calm us down, right? What you're doing is you're seeing yourself as actually small, and as partners as big, strong figures who are supposed to make everything better. And I'll put this down here just for illustrative purposes, right? But what you're actually missing is that little version of yourself, that one that's right next to us who's really crying out for attention. So when you feel triggered or anxious, it's like you're tugging on your partner's sleeve. You're begging them to soothe you, to fix what's wrong, to actually make yourself feel safe. But here's the thing, right? You're not actually noticing the little you inside that's actually also doing what? Tugging on your little sleeve too. Saying, hey, I need you right now. Not them, but you. I need you to validate me. I need you to reassure me. I need you to calm me. I need you to tell me that we're safe right now. I promise you, this is the one piece of the puzzle that's often missing. And this is why you might feel like you're stuck in the same cycle. You think the past still matters because somehow, deep down, you're still holding on to that love bombing that they were giving you at the beginning. And I remember I dated a guy who, it was very short-lived. In fact, I wouldn't even say I dated the guy. I spoke to the guy. It was very short-lived, and he showed up in the way in which I would have wanted a man to be towards me. But he was love bombing me, essentially, right? And that's what I kept holding on to at the beginning, because I felt like the past still matters. I've never felt this guy, but I've had to overwrite it. And overwriting it simply means, like, back to what I said earlier, looking at everything you're experiencing right now. Anytime you feel the urge to look back and romanticize and think, oh, I remember when they did this, stop yourself and pause right there. You don't need to be thinking about that. Anytime you feel the need to feel like justify you staying in the connection, holding on, ask yourself, how do they make me feel right now, this very moment? Let that be your answer. Now I haven't heard from my bae or whoever in fact, stop calling them your bae. Right now I haven't heard from this person. And based on this current moment, the trajectory that I see happening is that this is not going to be my person. You have to picture yourself walking away. Picture them fading, rewrite your own emotional association, because this is key. And this is where you're going to start journaling about your future self, not your wounded self. This means like you write as if you've already detached. And this is so powerful. Again, stay to the end because I'm going to give you exactly what you need to do. I just want you to remember before I close the video is that letting go is not weakness. A lot of times we see it as, oh my gosh, I really could have fought more. No, you've done all you could. The strength that you need right now is recognizing that you deserve so much more than this. This touches home. Like, whenever I talk about this, I get so emotional because I think I'm someone that really struggled. I don't know if you guys are into astrology, but I'm a Taurus. So letting go has never really been my strong point, which is why I've always, I think, my lesson in this lifetime is after I master letting go and then you've got it all made. And for me, I'm like, if I could master letting go, then I can master anything, because everything in life has some level of attachment to it, because through everything, we're going to lose someone. Unfortunately, it's the cycle of life. We're all going to lose someone through them passing and transitioning. Depending on your spiritual belief, we're going to lose somebody one day. And I think the more you master and start to look at things and have this perspective shift, you start to recognize that you really have the power here. And it's all based on your own self-worth and also ability to see life as we're moving. People aren't destined to be with us forever. You can look at it from a spiritual lens, you can look at it from a neurological lens, you can look at it from a physical lens. Not everyone is destined to stay. Not everyone is destined to be here in this lifetime. So with that in mind, you know that not everyone's also destined to be with you. There is a person here for you one day that's going to come in your presence, and they're never going to make you question your worth. You're never going to be here having to convince someone into loving you. And anytime you're doing that, you're basically conditioning yourself that you don't deserve it, that you don't deserve love. Honestly, it's not the best place to be in, because what happens is it's not just going to be this person, it's going to be the next, and it's going to be the next person, and the next person after that. You have to get to a point in your life where you're like, girl, I'm sick and tired of this. I'm absolutely sick and freaking tired of feeling this way. And I got to that place. But then it was after my long-term relationship I got to that place. But then what I found is the men after that were still exhibiting the same things I experienced with my ex. It's just that with my ex, it lasted much longer than these guys. And then I got to a place where I realized that I'm tired of this shit. Yeah, I need to change. And that's the thing, what's that saying? Insanity is doing everything and doing the same thing and expecting different results. That is that. And I can't keep doing this to myself, because it's either I stop dating or I show up differently when I'm dating. And this is the key. You've got to show up differently. Whether you're a woman watching this, you have to be more self-assured. Whether you're a man watching this, you all too have to be more self-assured in terms of what you want, what you desire, and how you want to be addressed and sought after. And that means that you have to also be comfortable that you're going to lose some people. And the thing with detachment is that recognizing that even through my loss, I've still got it. Like, you have to be so convicted in your sense of self that, baby, like, I don't care if I lose you. I'm so strong in who I am, and that's all that matters. It took a long time for me to get here, and that doesn't mean that when you fall short that you're not working or you're not healing through it. Because going back to that scab analogy that I gave you, there's going to be times where you might even knock that little bit again. There might be times where you hurt yourself back there again. Does that mean that that wound is not going to heal? It's going to heal, but it's going to heal differently. It's going to heal in its own time. It might leave other scars, but it's still going to heal nevertheless. And that's just essentially you. God, I can't believe this is a whole 28-minute video. Anyways, if you need more of a step-by-step of everything that I've shared on this video today, I've created an ebook that will go through a structured step-by-step breakdown and everything that you need to do for 3 weeks, because that's all it takes. 3 weeks. And after that, it's going to get much easier, I promise you. I've got it, and it's in the link. The link is in my bio. How to essentially break your dopamine cycle and let go and detach without spiraling, without falling short, without double backing. The things that a lot of us struggle with, and I want you to know, girl, guys, I got you, okay? So I'll put everything in my ebook. So yeah, download it below. Start rewiring your brain, and you've got to invest in yourself. You've got to invest in your healing. And the thing is, with this ebook, you're going to keep it with you, whether it's this person, whether it's the next person, or the person after that. Because what you're doing is you're training your brain that you've got this. You believe in yourself, and you're going to train your brain not to settle for less. And I promise you, with time, it gets easier. Because it's kind of like trying to ride a bike. At the beginning, you struggle, you fall, you pick yourself up, you try again. But eventually, you'll be able to ride on the roads. I say this because, in 2017, that was me. I struggled riding a bike when I was a kid, and I started riding a bike when I was, 25, 26, like properly, where I learned to ride a bike. And we got there in the end. Does it mean that it was a struggle? Yes, it was. But I had to be so self-assured in, I really want this. So you've got to be self-assured in knowing, do I really want to let go of this feeling, this hurt that I'm feeling right now? And if that sounds like you, then maybe this is your ebook. Yeah, I hope what I've shared on here has helped today. Let me know in the comments if it has. What other kind of content you'd like to see from me going forward. And yeah, and I'm sending you lots of love. Let's connect. Follow me, subscribe on my channel, check out my other socials on here, and I look forward to the next one. Peace.